wasn't expecting this, Mr. Mackenzie.
We have nothing to be concerned about.
My sons are going on a 5-day backcountry trip, and their guide is a 15-year-old girl. I believe I had some legitimate concerns. Plus, there's the question of misrepresentation.
My wife and I are Christians. We do not lie, which is what you mean by misrepresentation. We do not break any of God's commandments.
You said in your email that our guide would be Sam Mackenzie. That implies a man. Well, a male teenager. You did say Sam is 15.
Well, she'll be 16 in October. Now, Sam is short for Samantha, and Samantha in Hebrew is God has heard. You see, Ellen and I wanted a child, and we waited a long time. God was listening to our prayers, and in due time, He gave us Samantha. God has heard. But she's always been called Sam around the lodge. Now, I'm not responsible for your assumptions about her gender. Anyway, you Seattle liberals, you're all feminists, so where's your feminism now?
You're confident that Sam is ready to be the guide, leading a 5-day loop through the backcountry with 2 teenagers?
Oh, yes, absolutely. She knows the entire area like the palm of her hand. She has every backpacking skill you can think of. She can read the weather. She has training in emergency medicine. Well, Sam's in the shed right now getting all the gear ready. She packs like a pro. And in the morning, she'll adjust the boys' straps and belt so they can carry the weight of the pack comfortably. Now, if you'd wanted a horseback trip, she can do that too. She's not quite as strong as other teenage boys, but she's stronger than most teenage girls. And she's smart, resourceful, and tough. If there's a problem, she'll know how to handle it.
But will she get along with my boys? Will they have a good time? Arnie is 14 and Holden is 12. They're not particularly sociable when they're not with their friends, and they definitely are not Christians.
Well, I've never met your boys, but Sam gets along great with everyone around here and with our Puget Sound guests. If Arnie and Holden are normal, reasonable kids, she'll get along with them.
Okay, I'm not happy with the situation, Mr. Mackenzie. But here we are in Samden, 50-mile boat ride from the rest of the world. My wife and I desperately need some relaxation. No internet, no TV. That's good. Plus, we're counting on getting the boys off our hands for almost a week. It actually took some arm twisting to get Arnie and Holden to agree to come here. They would have preferred to spend a week in our house on their own. We're not going to let that happen.
You don't trust your boys?
Enough about that. So, are you sure you don't have another guide? A male person available? Some local kid who knows the backcountry?
My family has run the Mackenzie Lodge for 3 generations. A local kid is not good enough. Sam learned her guide skills from me. She grew up doing this. She's who's available, and you couldn't do better.
Well, I'd like to talk to her. Call it an interview.
Sure.
But I'd like to have it a private conversation.
Private? What could you possibly want to ask her that I couldn't hear?
I want a private talk with Sam. That's a reasonable request, given that I was not expecting my sons to be in the woods for 5 days with a teenage girl.
Go ahead, talk to her. Sam, please come out here. Sam, Mr. Engel would like to talk to you about the trip. He wants to talk to you privately.
Everything's just about ready for the trip. The weather will be perfect.
Hello, Sam. Okay, that's good. Your dad and I talked quite a bit about you. I'm satisfied you're a well-qualified backcountry guide. What I want to talk about is something a little different. Something that's best kept confidential between you and me. If we agree to talk confidentially, can I trust you?
When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. This conversation will be confidential.
Okay, then. Arnie and Holden are good boys, but they've been raised without a lot of discipline. They've had all the advantages, maybe too much in the way of advantages. Arnie has gone a little too far with girls at some parties. I don't mean anything illegal, but maybe more than those girls were expecting. Gwen and I are uneasy about this. Holden is younger, of course, but he models his behavior after Arnie, and he's showing some interest in the opposite sex. And you know, he'll be completely alone with you.
I can handle them, Mr. Engel.
Okay, I'm sure you can, but you can see why I didn't want to talk about this potential problem in front of your father.
Yes, it's a good thing you didn't.
Would he have canceled the trip? Found a young man to lead? I'm sure he could find someone if he really needed to.
I'm not sure. Actually, I think Father would let me do the trip. Mother would be opposed. But Father is the head of the family.
But Cord isn't going to hear anything about what I'm saying about the boys.
That's right. Everything we say here is confidential. We agreed to that.
One more thing. You say, keep my boys from getting out of line, and I think you can. So, since you're confident about this, I want us to have a little arrangement on the side. Whenever I travel business or with family, I bring cash for special situations. Old-fashioned cash has certain advantages over the transfer of digital funds.
Okay.
This is $1,000. It's yours, and I won't say a word about it, but in return, I get a little insurance on the idea that you can handle Arnie and Holden. If you need to, you're welcome to kick ass. Whatever you country girls do with unruly boys. But if things do get out of hand, you don't say a word about it to anyone ever. That's what this $1,000 is for.
I'm very glad to take your money, Mr. Engel. I understand what you're paying me for.
Good. Now again, anything inappropriate that might happen on a trip, you never say a word. Not to your parents, not even to the police if it comes to that. I assume there are millions of places out here where you can hide the money.
That's right.
And sooner or later, you'll be glad to have some money that your parents don't know anything about.
My parents don't know this, couldn't even imagine. But I don't want to live in Sandon. I don't want to spend my life running the lodge. I want to live in Seattle or some other big city. At least try out city life. It's going to be hard on my folks. I wish I had a brother or a sister, any sibling, who could take over the lodge. But I need to have my own life. When I turn 17, I'm packing up my clothes and taking the boat to Reynolds, and then the trailways to Seattle.
I see. No one should live in a place they don't want to be. I'm glad you have that $1,000. Do you have any more money saved up?
Not really, Mr. Engel. Tell me, is $1,000 going to be enough for me to get started in Seattle?
It's a tricky question, Sam. It's not that much money. It probably wouldn't cover a month's rent, even if you were sharing a place with other renters.
Mr. Engel, I don't even know much about the world outside of Michigan. I'm homeschooled. I've only been on the internet a few times. My social life is our church. A few Sandon kids go to high school in Reynolds. They board with a Reynolds family during the week and take the boat back here on weekends. Those kids know more than us Sandon kids. They use the internet. They tell us stuff. But they're kids, and they think like kids. So when I can, I ask our guests questions about Seattle, about the outside world.
I'll try to answer any questions you have, and I won't say anything to Cord.
I've asked this question before, now I'll ask you. What kind of job can I get in Seattle? I'll have a high school degree, but these days the good jobs are for college graduates. And if I get a job, I know it will be minimum wage. So is there a way for me to move ahead to make more than minimum wage? Maybe even eventually have my own apartment?
Well, you could get a job starting cleaning rooms in a hotel. It's a terrible job, but you could get it. God knows you're strong enough and you look like a hard worker. Something you should know, a lot of folks doing that job are black or Hispanic or Asian. Some don't speak much English. All this will be very new to you.
I'm okay with that. And yes, I can do a long day's work and not feel tired.
And what's good about the hospitality industry is that there are pathways to better jobs. If you show promise, you can supervise. Maybe move to the restaurant. Maybe work in a fitness center. None of this is great, but there are a lot of different jobs in a big hotel that don't require a high school degree. Eventually, though, if you possibly can, you should get some kind of higher education, community college, trade school, something.
Mr. Engel, do you think I'd fit in? You know, I'm such a rural kid. I'm like a hick's hick.
I'd like to say sure you would. I mean, there's always many different kinds of people in a big city, but I see your point. You've never used the internet, never played on a computer game, never watched TV. There must be a zillion things you don't know. It could be hard, Sam. It could.
Well, thanks for the honest answers, Mr. Engel. But we should be heading back now. I'll tell Father that you asked me questions about leading the trip. What I'd do if one of the kids got sick, stuff like that.
So sometimes you don't quite tell the truth to your parents.
I don't like lying, but sometimes it's necessary. I am a Christian, Mr. Engel, but not exactly the same kind of Christian as my parents. The world is about right and wrong, but doing the right thing isn't always the same as following fixed rules.
Okay, Sam. I hope you have a good trip with my boys. If they come back looking a little beat up, don't expect any trouble from me or Gwen.
Okay,
Do whatever
Mr.
you
Engel.
need to while you're out there.
I can handle myself.
Well, sounds like the trip went really well. I told you Sam was a first-rate backcountry guide.
I have to admit you were right. There's nothing for me to worry about. Arnie and Holden really liked the trip and are now big fans of Sam.
Well, nothing more than I expected.
It's okay. I assume it's okay with you, Cord, if I give a good tip to your first-rate guy.
Oh, sure. Just give it to me. You know, we have an account in Sam's name down at the Reynolds Savings and Loan. And when she gets married, that money can help furnish her house. You know, the lodge here is on a big piece of land, and I've got a portable sawmill I can set up. When the time comes, Sam's husband, Sam, and I can make a nice little home. It'll have a couple of bedrooms, one just in time for the children.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Well, I've got things to do. I'll see you at dinner. You're taking a 9:30 boat, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, well, just pack your bags and leave them outside your cabin, and we'll bring you down to the dock at 9 o'clock. Your bags will be loaded in the van, and I hope to see you and your family next season.
Yes, indeed. Gwen and I really relaxed here at the lodge. Didn't do much at all, but we hiked up to Misty Falls. Beautiful. And we followed the river trail up to where 10 Mile Creek runs into the Sandon. That was very nice. We were careful to drink our wine inside the cabin, not on the porch, not to be offensive or anything.
Thank you, but we're used to seeing folk consume alcohol on the porch. As long as it doesn't come into the main building, we're okay with it. Well, we'll see you all at dinner. Robert, Ellen has huckleberry pie made with berries picked just this morning. She cuts some big slices, and there'll be real whipped cream on top.
Oh, sounds delicious. It all worked out?
No
You didn't have
trouble.
any trouble with Arnie?
Arnie and Holden were perfect gentlemen.
I can't remember the last time anyone said that about them, gentlemen.
Arnie didn't even think of getting out of line. It's not really about size and strength, although I could handle both of them together if I needed to. It's about authority. I've stared down more black bears than I can remember, and a full-grown cougar as well.
Okay, that's just what I wanted to hear. I'm perfectly pleased that you earned that $1,000 without any trouble.
But Mr. Engel, I did want them to have a good time. And well, they like the outdoors, but they don't exactly love the outdoors. I mean, they just weren't raised that way. So, to keep their morale up, I promised them a little skinny dipping on the last morning of our trip.
You what? Oh my God.
There's a little detour where you can cross Muncie Creek about a quarter-mile south of the trail. No chance of anyone coming by. We skinny dipped, but the boys never touched me.
That's a relief.
Then I let them watch me dry myself with the clean t-shirt I had in my pack. They'll probably tell all their friends when they get home, but none of that will reach us back here. And if it did, I'd just tell my parents it was a crazy teenage story.
Had you ever done this skinny dipping, done it before?
No, that kind of thing is not going to happen in the Sandon. But we hear about it from the kids who go to school down lake. There's definitely skinny dipping in Reynolds. A lot more stuff than that, actually. I know that skinny dipping's been going on forever out in rural America, just not in places like Sandon, where religion is so strong. But I don't think it's a big offense to God.
I wasn't expecting this, but I'm okay with it. You made the rules and the boys followed them. Still, I'm not going to tell Gwen, but if she does find out, it wouldn't be too bad. So, it turns out you keep quite a few secrets from your parents, including some very big ones.
Yes, it's necessary. That's all. When I start my life in Seattle, I'm pretty sure that sooner or later, men are going to watch me undress. So maybe it wasn't so bad to get a start with Arnie and Holden.
So they were curious, and you were curious.
Well, they were more than curious.
I'm going to give Cord a tip in your name, just like I told him, but it may be a while before you get to see that money from the Reynolds savings and loan, so I'll also slip you a bigger tip before I get on the boat.
Well, thank you.
Sam, it's going to be a big transition for you, but I think you're going to do fine in Seattle. Just like Cord said, you're smart, resourceful, and tough. More than he even knows. You're going to navigate all the obstacles, make the right choices. You're going to change, and change a lot. But you're going to keep the strong character you developed out here.
I hope so. And by the time I'm 17, I think I'll be ready. My homeschooling has big limitations in what I learn about, but I'm strong on the fundamentals. I've always done well on the state exams.
When you're getting close to the big move, send me a letter. I think I can find a job for you that's better than making up rooms in a hotel. I have friends who own companies or are high enough in some big companies to make things happen for you. And if anything goes wrong for you in Seattle, some kind of big problem or decision, Bellevue is close by. Not that I think you'll need help, but maybe there'll be moments.
I am very grateful, Mr. Engel, for everything.
Oh, sure, Sam. This has been quite a vacation. Gwen had the relaxation she's been looking forward to. She's very happy we came out here, but there's some surprises too. A big surprise for Arnie and Holden, and something new in my life as well. I'll pick a good moment to tell Gwen that I became friends with you during our vacation and that I plan to help you get started in Seattle. And then let's stay in touch. We have a 30-foot sailboat that we take out on the Sound. Think you'd like to join us sometime?
Sure, I would. And it would be good to see Arnie and Holden again.
Gwen hardly got to see you this week, but she'll like you when she gets to know you better. You should get back to Cord now. I bet he's wondering what you and I are talking about.
Yes, I bet he is.